Hey. This is HQ here. Today's show is about red flags. And we got a story about a lady who ignored the red flags. She ignored the red flags, all the red flags, right? And this is the tale we have for today. Um, and if people don't know what red flags in a relationship, are warning signs, that indicate potential problems and unhealthy dynamics, right? Just a few of these controlling behaviors, or behaviors, or red flags are controlling behaviors. I'm sorry. Lack of trust, jealousy, disrespect, criticism, undue criticism, manipulation, gaslighting, no accountability, anger, excessive anger, uh, one-sidedness, lack of care, effort, secrecy, lying, disrespecting boundaries. When they love bomb you, and go nuts all the time, and then all of a sudden they don't care, and this, that, and the third. And a lot of people do a lot of these, or one or two of these, which should indicate red flags to people. And a lot of people ignore them. So we have a story of a lady who ignored these red flags, right? Because a lot of people ignore red flags. They see the red flag and say, "Oh, wait a minute, it ain't no big deal." And then the red flags keep coming. Then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a relationship, you're pregnant. You ignore these red flags, and you keep going on with this person, and they doing this, that, and the third. Okay. So, I try to hit the door the minute I see red flags, right? The minute I see red flags. It's always the gaslighting. It's always the avoiding responsibility. It's always the ignoring the phone call, the text, the control. See, I can't have someone control my behavior. When you tell me I can't do something, that's a red flag for me. When you say I can't do something, that's when I have a problem. Okay. And the whole point is you have to recognize those red flags. So we finna get into it. A lady who ignored she ignored all the red flags, including her own red flags. And that's the most amazing part. When people don't even recognize that they got red flags. But everybody else does. But they don't. It's crazy. Here we go.
In one of my previous posts, I mentioned that after 75 days of being married, I asked for a divorce. And really, it was 60 days. But I was like, maybe you tripping. Give it a second. Wait a minute. See, what's up. But at day 75, there was like an event that happened, and I was just like, no, ain't no way I'm finna stand this. I don't care nothing about no paperwork or none of that. I got to get out of this situation because this ain't it. I'm going to preface this story by saying I have never been a woman to stay in a relationship longer than I need to. I have always been the woman that has gotten away. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't stayed in situations longer than I should have, but when the light bulb went off, I had no problems leaving. So, here's a story on how I got married. And after 75 days of being married, I wanted a divorce. I'm also going to say we didn't even have the opportunity to live together. So we lived in two separate homes. And I mentioned that I dropped the $1,500 for the divorce. So the divorce was a non contested divorce. So he didn't contest it. And so we didn't have any children together. Didn't have any assets together. We didn't live together. No shared vehicles, no shared accounts, no shared anything. So it was a very kind of in and out process once I filed. So the backstory, Um, I went to FAMU. He went to FAMU too, but that's not how we met. We actually met because he some kind of way found me on Instagram. Um, I'm not sure what video or what picture I posted on Instagram that caught his attention. I can't even remember, but nonetheless, it did. So he initially started like DMing me, but it was just friendly. He initially let me know, hey, you graduated from FAMU. I did too. So that was literally like the conversation started. So if you know anything about FAMU, you know like we're one big family. So if a person says, oh, you graduated from FAMU, I graduated from FAMU, that's an immediate conversation. So that's initially how we met. So it was just friendly conversation. Now, I will say this. He mentioned that he had graduated from FAMU, and I said, oh, me too. But I'm kind of leery like when guys slide in my DMs. So I might respond, but I respond very short, kind of like, okay, you graduated from FAMU, I did too. Okay, whatever. So he would like comment on my pictures, he would comment on my videos, and I took it with a grain of salt. I was like, whatever. But he kept being consistent with commenting and, with sliding in my DM. So it went from like, I like that picture to, I think you're a gorgeous woman. And then it went to, you know what? Where are you located? Like, what city are you located? So, we talked about, I let him know, I'm in Atlanta. And he was like, "Oh, me too. I just moved up here not too long ago, blah, blah, blah." So he asked me on a date, a coffee date, which is should have been red flag number one. So I politely responded to him, I don't do coffee dates. I have a nice Keurig in my house with all the bells and the whistles. I don't need to get in my car. I don't need to get dressed. I don't need to drive in Atlanta traffic for no coffee. So if a coffee date is what you're offering, I'm not interested. He responds back, okay, okay, okay. It's no problem. It's no problem. It's no problem. Cool. We could do a restaurant. We could get drinks, talk over, get drinks, get food, whatever, talk over food in a nice restaurant. So I left him on red for like a couple of days, because the coffee date thing didn't sit well with me. I'm like, who is like, I don't do coffee dates. So, he responded again and he was like, I'm not sure if you got my message, but I'd like to take you out. So I was like, you know what? Okay, cool.
Wait a minute. Why would she say she didn't want to go on a coffee date? I don't understand why women say they don't want to go on a coffee date. That would be the quickest way. That would be the quickest way to find out whether you wanted somebody and then be able to kick them to the curb. Why wouldn't that be the first thing that you want to do? Let's go get a coffee, and if I don't like you, then I get up out of there. That's the dumbest thing ever. I just don't understand that. And when she said, "Oh, I didn't want a coffee date. I wanted the full-fledged date," I was like, "Ooh, you wanted them women."
Ain't no harm in meet him. I will drive my car and meet him, out. So we decided to go out on a Tuesday.
Mhm.
So infamous Taco Tuesday. So I met him at a real nice taco place in downtown Atlanta. Now, another thing that happened when I got downtown to the taco place, Atlanta's downtown is crazy with parking. Like it's awful. So it took me, I was probably like 30 minutes late, and I'm not usually late, but I was about 30 minutes late because I, for the life of me, could not find where to park. And so I shot him a quick message and let him know, I'm gonna be late because I'm having a hard time, figuring out where to park. So he was like, he was giving me instructions and he was like, I can come out there and show you where to park, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I found out where to park, got into the restaurant, and met him in the restaurant.
So, come on, why
Hello.
are you doing that? Oh, So my question to her was, okay, so you didn't want to meet him in the parking lot. You didn't want to meet him at a coffee shop so you can get that all over and taken care of just in case you didn't like this guy. So you decided you was just going to skip over all of that. She didn't see where she was wrong either. She didn't see where she thought she was better than a coffee date. She didn't see none of her red flags at all. We see one, that arrogance in her, this entitlement in her. This is what we see. And I was like, when I was reading this and I was listening to this, I was like, what the hell is wrong with this woman? Why the hell is it that she got a problem with going to a coffee shop? I didn't like her at all. I didn't like her one bit.
Part 2 of how I got married and divorced after only being married for 75 days. So I left off. We met at the taco place downtown.
Y'all hit the like button coming in, please. Hit the like button. Super chats are great. Cash apps are welcome. Please hit the like button. Thank you very much. Rain, Ty, Jay, Miss Walker, Reed, Jay Tillman. Hit the like button, please.
Let me also say this. He was not really my type physically.
So how is he not your type? How is he not your type? I don't understand it. What's going on? Here it again.
Part 2.
All right.
Of how I got married and divorced after only being married for 75 days. So I left off. We met at the taco place downtown. Let me also say this. He was not really my type physically. And I don't even have a type physically, but he wasn't my type physically, if that makes sense. So I get to the taco place. He's there, dressed really nice. Slacks, a button-down shirt, glasses, dressed really nice. Very welcoming, very well spoken. Hey, nice to meet you, etc., etc. We sit down. He asked me what I would like to order. We get my order and we're just chopping it up. Nothing too deep. He's just telling me where he's from. I'm telling him where I'm from. Just, normal, casual first date conversation. So first date goes well. He walks me to my car. I go home, let him know, I made it home, whatever. We exchange numbers, so we continue to converse. He lets me know that his birthday is coming up and that he's going to be taking a trip for his birthday. So, whatever. Whatever. So he goes and takes the trip for his birthday. Now, I'm the type of woman, I don't call a man. I don't text a man. Even if we are in a relationship, I'm not calling your phone. I'm not texting your phone first.
So why is it that she's not doing that? Why are you not calling and texting and keeping up with the person that you're interested in? She has red flags too.
First, call it what you want. I just don't. If a man wants to talk to me, he will reach out to me, whether that's text, call, whatever. So the whole time he was on his birthday trip, he would call, he would text, let me know.
And that's what I found out. A lot of these people out here just playing goofy. And you can't really depend on half of what they say because it just be their side. She don't see nothing wrong with what she did.
Have little short conversations. He let me know, he was having a good time on his trip. One particular time he FaceTimed me and he had on this hoodie. And I was like, wow, I really like that hoodie. Where'd you get that hoodie from? And he was like, I got it out here in Vegas. And I'm kidding around. And I'm like, oh, get me one because I really like that. Long story short, he ends up buying the hoodie and bringing it to me and giving it to me when he gets back in town. So if I'm remembering correctly, when he got back from his birthday trip, we went on...
It's a headband. She has some kind of scarf or a band on.
A second date, I believe. Regular conversation. Everything's going well. Then he invites me over to his house. We start talking about where, kind of the area that we live in. And he lives on a total opposite end from where I live. So at first I'm like, I ain't really trying to go, to his house. I don't really know him. Like, it's I ain't trying to do that. But, I went against it and I was like, what is it gonna hurt? I'll go down there. I had mentioned to him that I was cooking. Not, I'm a person that cooks. I cooks. It has nothing to do with anybody else. That's what I like to do. So he was like, bring me some. Okay, cool, whatever. So I drive down to his house. Um, and I bring the food. And so I was like, okay, so where we finna go to eat? Cause I'm not finna sit in here. Like, where we finna go to eat? Like, so he was like, all right, where you want to go? And I'm like, I want seafood. So he's like, I know this real, this seafood place, whatever, whatever. So we go on a date. He didn't contest it or anything. So we went on a date to the seafood place. Again, nice time. Conversation is flowing. We leave the date. We go back to his house. We're listening to music. We're just chopping it up, chatting it up. Cool. Oh, let me say this. When I got to his house was a house. It wasn't an apartment. Nothing against apartments, but I'm like, okay, he got a house. I'm scoping the scene or whatever. So the house is nice and clean. He's cleaned up. He got the candles on. I go use the restroom. The restroom is clean. I'm like, oh, okay. So, he cleaned up or whatever. That date is over. So I leave, his house that night.
Now she out there like this. So far, so good. So I didn't see where there was an issue. I just saw a chick who thought she was entitled so far. I just saw a chick who felt like she was entitled to a decent date, a narcissist. She came across that way to me. Okay. Came across that way to me. And I was like, what is so bad? It don't sound bad. Don't nothing sound bad so far. We finna get into it. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? I don't know.
Part 3 on how I got married and wanted a divorce after being married for only 75 days. Now, before I go into part 3, I'm going to say this. I don't like men. And in most cases, I do not take them serious. It's for the moment, it's for a good time. If you talk to my sisters, my cousins, my friends, they will tell you. Now, I find men attractive. I'm not attracted to women, but there are not a lot of good men at the core. And I've always known that. Like, I didn't know how to explain it when I was younger, but I always like felt it. Like something about them. I don't really care for them. They cool. And yes, I've slipped up a time or two, you know, and been caught off guard. Players fuck up. But okay, part 3. So after I spent time
She said players fuck up.
at his home, we went on another date, I believe.
No, she not gay. She not gay. She just she's I assume she's more asexual, or she's one of those people that don't, her emotions don't get involved too much. Uh it's something about her. I can't put my finger on it though.
And then after that, we were talking more and more on the phone, texting throughout the day. So then he asked, basically if we could be in a relationship exclusively. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going with it. Cool. Um, at that point,
Well, she seems like that type. She seems like that type that this she doesn't really hold any kind of, what is it called? She doesn't care about whether she sleeps with somebody on the first date or not. She doesn't have those kind of hangups. A lot of people don't have those kind of hangups. If they want to sleep with someone, they will. If they don't, they won't. Nobody has those kind of. A lot of people don't have those kind of hangups. She don't.
point he comes to my house. And so when he comes to my house, I think it was like a game on, football game on. So, my sister and I, we were eating, we had the hookah, we had drinks, we were watching football. So he came over. to watch football. So after the game went off, he started expressing like his deep feelings for me and telling me how, he's never met a woman like me, and how he just really enjoys my company and he just really wants to be with me. And let me back up a little bit. I forgot to tell y'all his occupation. So he's a lawyer. I'm a college professor. And keep that in mind as I continue to tell the story. So um, he starts to tell me how he feels and he's never met a woman like me. Yes. And I have one son. So my son is 12, and he has two kids by the same woman. But his kids are younger than mine. And that's one of the rules that I broke, because I don't date men that have more than one kid. And I don't date men if they have more than one.
Baby mama.
Their children are younger than my son.
Well, apparently he was so damn good that you decided that you were going to change that rule. That was one of the red flags that you ignored. You ignored that and you went ahead with the relationship anyway. You knew you didn't want it. She really don't want to raise nobody else's kids but her own. Okay? But they're supposed to help her raise her one kid. So this is one of the things that she let yourself down on. You said you weren't going to do it. You said you weren't going to date somebody who had kids, and yet and still, because you liked him on paper, he was a lawyer, he probably was decent looking, you let it go. This was your problem. This was an issue that you decided. She said she's not attracted to him in the beginning. Why are you dealing with the man if you're not attracted to the man? What was it that put you in in his presence enough to deal with him and to marry him if you weren't attracted to him at all and you don't like men at all? I don't understand this story at all. You don't care about him. You don't care about any of these things. According to you, you don't care one way or the other. Yet and still, this man had your attention.
And don't, y'all don't jump down my throat, but I just don't want to be involved with a man with small children. Like, that's my preference. I prefer a man that has one or none. But I don't typically like to be involved with men that have multiple children that are smaller than mine. That's too much work. When it's time for you to get them, that means I gotta like be trying to adjust my schedule and all that. But because
Now, isn't that how relationships are supposed to work? Aren't you supposed to be involved with the children if he has children? He's going to be involved with your child when your child need to be picked up. He's going to probably have to do that at some particular point. So my question is, why weren't you all in or didn't want to be all in yet and still you ended up being this man's wife? You see how people are halfway into relationships and really, this is wild. I don't get it. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, she admitted everything.
it seemed to be a good situation, it was by the same woman. I was like, all right, cool. Again, went against the grain, red flag. Um,
No, it's a red flag for you, against you, not against him, against you.
so fast forward, I'm at his house on one night. We're having a good time, and he was like, I really been thinking about marriage, and I could see myself like getting married to you. Um, so I'm like, yeah. Now this ain't the first time that I've been asked to get married. Like,
Mm.
I've been proposed to. My son's dad proposed to me twice with two different rings. The guy after him proposed to me, and the guy after him proposed.
So you've been proposed to 3, 4 times, and yet and still you ain't been able to land one of these guys. Why haven't you been able to land one of these men? I don't understand these women. How do you get married? How do you get proposed to 3, 4, 5 different times, and yet and still not now one of them was good, not none of them was a good man. They were bad men. All of them were bad men. When all of them are bad men, that means there's something wrong with you. So this is where she's at. She's omitting the fact that she's a shitty candidate to marry. Not that she has serious, serious red flag. She has enough red flags for somebody to hesitate to marry her. Yet and still, she's hunching right now, and somebody proposes marriage to her, and she ain't known him long enough to even vet him. Does he have a house, a car, a job, all those good things? Yet she listened to this nonsense about getting married.
To me. And for me, I just like I said, I don't really care for men like like that.
Wait a minute, how do you not care for men like that? What? How do you not care for men like that? It makes no sense. Yet you were led into a marriage.
And I always knew like I never wanted to get married in my 20s or early 30s. Like I just didn't want my 20s to be tied.
Yes, she had a baby. Also, she had a baby. So she figured, okay, baby and marriage are not one and the same, or should not be related. So she was out there hunching, doing her thing. She didn't want to get married. But she got proposed to 2 or 3 times, right? You got proposed to 2 or 3 times. Was it your fault that those engagements ended?
Down with being married. And hell, I didn't want to be a mama in my 20s either, but shit happens. And that happened late in my late 20s, but it happens. I accepted it. It is what it is. We were sticking and moving. Um, so he starts to talk about marriage and he was like, I really see myself being with you. And in hindsight, I fit the bill. And when I say I fit the bill, he's a lawyer and he's a lawyer that likes to be involved in organizations all over the city. So he's always trying to be somewhere on the scene, trying to network, trying to get his name out there, trying to get his face out there.
So she didn't recognize that he wanted to do that when she met him. She knew what he was when she met him. She decided she was going to go along with the train, even though she wasn't attracted to him. She said, "No, I'm finna go along with this. He got money. He's decent enough looking that I can deal with him and I can go around with him and I can do all the things I want to and I don't need to be married to him. But if I marry him, I'm gonna have all the things that I want to." See, she was scheming her damn self. Not in a mean way. Not in a mean way. She just wanted to be in the limelight too, just like him. Don't let her fool you. Scheming women, red flag.
And he thought again that I fit the bill because I went to fam, I'm a college professor, I got my shit together. So I fit the bill on paper. So long story short, he asked me to marry him. I say yeah. And don't jump down my throat again, but I didn't really take it serious like that. It was just like, okay, he want to get married. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, let's get married. That's kind of how I said it. And he was like, no, I'm serious. Like I really want to like get married. So I was like, okay. Cause at this point I'm just like, he probably not gonna be the man that I stay married to for my whole life. But I'm in my 30s. People always asking like, when you gonna get married? It ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's a notch in my belt. When it's all said and done, I could be like, oh, I done already been married. Like, what else you got? Because when you get a certain age as a woman, people are like, well, when you gonna get married? When you gonna have more kids? I have always been very successful, like in my education. I've always been successful in my career. But my love life has always been kind of, and he just caught me in a moment. And I was just like,
No, he didn't catch you in a moment. He was what it was. He was that man on paper. He was a lawyer. He looked halfway decent. He wanted somebody to be on her arm that she could say, hey, he looks so good. I could deal with him too. Nobody's saying he's fine. But here's the thing. You wanted something out of that relationship too, right? Don't make it sound like you didn't want something from this man. You wanted something from this man too. You making it seem as though he wanted everything and you just didn't give a damn. You a lie because you wanted to marry this man. And people don't marry people for no reason.
what? Okay, let's do it.
Part two of
Now, let's do it. Hold on. I just don't like her cavalier attitude. She says she don't care. It's like you don't care. You don't care for real? You don't care for him? You don't care for what he did or what he said? You don't care nothing about this man. Yet and still you out there hunching, right? What are we on? Part 4? Part 3 or 4? Let's see. Part 4. Hold on. Here we go.
of me wanting a divorce after only being married for 75 days. So he writes me this long letter because he's a writer, so he likes to write. And so he writes me this long letter expressing his feelings to me, like a old school love letter. And I still have that letter. And so we set a date to get married, which is like a couple weeks away, a week.
My whole point was she walked into that relationship not planning to stay married. How many people do that? Okay. How many people walk into the marriage thinking, oh no, I'm not going to stay married. I'm just going to pretend to like this person, get involved with this person, and then you end up married to this person. She had no intention of dealing with him at all. And the problem is, she just wanted somebody on her arm too.
Away or so, something like that. So fast forward to the day where it's time for us to go to the courthouse and get married. Now, we had a conversation and
arrogance. She still got the letter because she want to flex. She just want the letter to flex, to say, oh, my husband, the man I married, really wanted me. This is how much he wanted me. This is how she do. This is wild.
And in that conversation about getting married, I told him that I did not want a big wedding. I wanted something intimate, very small, very personable. But if you remember me mentioning, he is like very outlandish. He always wants to be on the scene, got to have a whole bunch of people around, got to put on a show. But he said, okay. Not only that, I also said, all right, if we do this and we go get married, I have my own place. So I'm not giving up my own place. Like I'll come over here or whatever, but
wait, man, how do you get married to somebody and then tell them that you won't come to their place, you won't live with them, you still gonna continue to live where you at? How do you get married with somebody, and how did he even allow that? See, that would make me think you doing stuff in your house that you don't want me to see. If you say, I'm not gonna move in with her, I want to keep my own place and you keep your own place, that would make me think you doing stuff over at your house that you ain't got no business doing. And that was that would have been a red flag right there. Who says that? I'll marry you, but I ain't gonna live with you. Wow.
I got a place and I'm gonna keep my place. And I've always said, like, if I got married, like at least that first year of marriage, like I'm gonna be in my own house because I need to see how things pan out. Because people,
you see how people move in fear. Here's the thing, and I tell people this all the time. It's a minimum. This is why I tell people it should at a minimum or a maximum, you should be able to tell what type of person that you're gonna marry within 2 years. The type of person that you're involved with within 2 years. I'm not saying take that long to marry someone. I'm saying you should know a person. If they drag you to 2 years, you should have been done known who they are. And if they want to go further, then you need to drop them like a bad habit, because a person should know whether they want to get married before that. And she's talking about, I'm not moving in with you. I want to see how this goes. How is it that you talking about, I want to see how it goes, and you got married within 72 days? How long had y'all known each other before you got married? That's my question. I don't think that it explains that much. It doesn't say how long they knew each other before they got married, but it's 75 days for the marriage. How long did you know this man?
People can pretend for a long time and then you get in a situation and you like, whoa. And I'm actually not against being married and having my own house the whole marriage. But I also told him that we needed to be married for at least 1 year before we told people. Like we told all of our family and we told all.
And that right there is wild too. Why would you insist on being married and not telling anybody at least a year after you got married? Why? Why? Because you're afraid that you're going to fail. You're afraid that the relationship and the marriage is going to fail. So you don't want to look like a goofy if the marriage fails. There's no reason not to tell family that you got married, specifically your parents or whatever or whoever. That's why I'm trying to figure out why you got all these rules for me and you getting married. See, I would have known right off the bat that she was cuckoo. This is cuckoo territory. Nobody does this. No person should go along with this. Why did he go along with this? Because he had his own red flag. Nope. He had his own red flag. He had his own issues.
All of our friends. I was like, I'll wear the ring and people can just think that I'm engaged for the first year. Just keep it private and work through it, because anybody that has been married, or from what I've been told, the first year of marriage is the hardest year of marriage. And for me, again, I'm very private. So me even telling this story.
How the hell you private and you on the internet telling all these damn people? This shit don't make sense. This is why you're a red flag.
It's like a big jump for me because I don't really get on the internet and tell my personal business. But I feel like there are a lot of women who get married and realize that the person that they're married to, that they don't want to be married to that person anymore because of and it could be in a short period of time, and then they feel like I got to stay married to this person because I've signed this paper and I've made these vows, and they think even though that person may be mistreating them or not treating them the same as they did when they got together and doing the things that made them want to be with that person, that person might switch up or that person might start cheating. And a lot of times
woulda, coulda, shoulda. Is that any way to move going forward with marriage? This is not how you move when you want to go forward with marriage. This is not how you move if you want successfully to be married. Because you're half in and half out. She's half in, and half out. He doesn't seem to be half in, half out, but she does. She's telling us that she didn't care about this man, that she really didn't love him, that she really don't like men. She didn't want to live with you. She didn't want nobody to know you were married. Didn't you think that was weird? As the man, didn't you think that was weird? All weird. She's weird, and she was the red flag.
Women feel as though they have to stick it out in these marriages. And so I'm here to tell my story that you don't have to stick it out. So if
you wasn't even in the marriage, ma'am, you never even got in the marriage. You only signed some papers and said, I do. You were never in the marriage. So you're not anything to look up to. You are not anything to be admired. Nothing you did was admirable.
He's not treating you the way that you need to be treated.
Y'all hit the like button coming in, please. Super chats are great. Cash apps are welcome. Hit the like button. Don't be disrespectful. Come on. Y'all listening to the show. Please hit the like button.
Then you can leave. I don't care if y'all been married for 10 days. I also got the question a lot about the annulment process. So I did look into the annulment process, but the annulment process is very specific. There has to be some specific guidelines in order to get an annulment. You just can't get an annulment because you don't want to be married to that person no more. Like you have to prove like in depth that this person like misled you, which he did, but it would have taken.
Wait a minute, how is it that he misled you, but you're telling us you had no intention of staying married to him, you had no intention of loving him, supporting him, and doing all of these things? How is it that he's the one that's in the wrong? I don't get it. You didn't do anything wrong, okay? Not gonna live with him, not gonna love him, not gonna support him, none of these things. Yet and still, you're the one They got deceived?
Quite a bit of time for me to prove that, and in the state of mind that I was in, I just wanted the situation to be over. So the annulment process was a no-go for me. Okay, so back to it. So the day of, we get to the courthouse to get married. The courthouse is closed. It ain't no big federal holiday. The courthouse is closed. It's cold. The courthouse is closed. That was my sign, y'all. That was my sign. Nonetheless, all right, we go, go out to eat, cool. Everything is good. We go back to his house. We're hanging, we're chilling, and we like, you know what? We'll just go back tomorrow and start, to get the marriage license and sign the paperwork. So we go back the next day. I get in the courthouse, so I'm dressed, and it's very cold outside. So I have on these long boots. So I go in the courthouse, and you got to go through the metal detectors and put your stuff through the metal detectors and all that. So I had some lotion in my purse, and the lady was like, that size lotion is too big. You can't bring that in here. So you either gonna have to take it back to the car, or you gonna have to throw it away. I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Just throw it away. I attempted to walk through the metal detector, but
it was a sign for him. It was a sign for him to hit the door. It was a sign for him to hit the door, but he didn't. He was so desperate to do what he needed to do. It was a sign for him to hit the door.
Because my boots were so high, they were like, you're going to have to take your boots off. We got to see, you can't walk through this.
Leon, the whole point is the story. You have to hear the story. You have to hear the red flags, hers and his. It don't just get to the point.
With those boots on. So it kind of made me have attitude. Like, what? I had to take my shoes off to walk through here. So nonetheless, took the boots off. Another red flag. Like, God was like, I'm trying to show you, girl. I'm trying to show you, and you ain't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention. So get through, he's putting my boots back on for me, being kind, being nice, whatever. So we get up there. You know the process. You got to go up to the floor. You got to sign it. You got to sign in. You got to tell him what you're applying for. So he paid for it. So we're sitting there. So we go to the back, and the lady is just verifying all of our information, making sure we are who we say we are. So we get to the part about the name. And so I wanted to hyphenate my name. And so he was kind of like looking at me like, and he was like, I want you to have my last name. I had no intentions of changing my name. Like, my last name was not going to be changed.
So why wasn't her last name going to be changed? Why is it that she didn't want to change her last name? Why is it that she's so resistant to be married, but yet and still she ended up married? I don't understand. Why is it that you didn't want to get married, yet and still you're at the courthouse? Just telling all kinds of craziness. None of her weirdness.
Like, I'm not changing my last name unless I'm probably like, if, and I really don't have to get married anymore. Like, been there, done it. I don't know. We'll probably have to be married like 5 or 10 years before I change my name. Like, I'm not changing my name. Like, I would at least hyphenate my name. So I'm just like, whatever. I ain't worried about that because that's a whole nother process. I have to come back and I have to change my name. We went through the process. We get out, and we now have to get the reverend to officiate. So he calls he's a member of a church. Another thing, when he met me, we talked about spirituality. We talked about God. I let him know that I have a good relationship with God. He took me saying that I have a relationship with God to mean that I am very religious. Now, hold on to that because that's going to come back up. But he is very religious. I'm going to let y'all ponder on that for a minute. So he calls his reverend to officiate it, and the reverend's like, okay, cool, I'll be there in an hour. So we go get something to eat. Only way to get something to eat, he calling his sisters, he calling his cousins, he calling his friends. Oh, I just got married. So he gets off the phone, and I was like, I thought I told you that we're not telling anybody that we're married. Like,
Why didn't he tell her what the hell is she talking about? Why is she so determined not to tell somebody that she married? Why is she determined not to let nobody know that they got married? She got a husband, a ring, did it, all of this. This was weird, which would have been a red flag for me too. If I
we
was
gonna um keep it between us and see how things go. And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just so excited about it. I'm just so happy to be a married man. I'm just so happy to have a beautiful wife. Like, I just think you're amazing. You're the most amazing woman that I ever met, and I just want to tell everybody about it. There was no way I was gonna let you, like, I had to wife you up. Like, I couldn't just let you go. So we get to the church, um, and the reverend brings his wife with him. So before we start the process, the officiating process, I go use the restroom. The wife also is in the restroom with me. And so, she sparks up conversation, and she was telling me how her and her husband had only known each other for 3 months, and they got married, and they had been married for 30 years. And she was just giving me like old school advice, about marriage. But she also told me to not lose myself in the marriage, and to always, always, always be the center of my marriage, and don't make him the center of my marriage. And so, I held on to that, and I've always said that, like, a man is not going to be the center of my universe. But I held on to that, and so we get up there, and he starts the officiating process.
This is wild. She had no intention of being in that marriage. That was the problem. She had no intention of being in that marriage or being a wife. That was her problem. She had no intention of being a wife. But it is what it is. The young man put his hat in the ring, so he got to deal with her. Now,
Part 5 on how I wanted a divorce after only being married for 75 days. So we go through the officiating process. And the wife that I mentioned earlier is recording this. So I still have um, a copy of it. So we didn't write out any vows or anything like that. It was just the standard um, vows or whatever. So we go through that process. We have dinner scheduled after that, for he and I. So, like,
hit the like button, hit the like button. Super chats are great. Cash apps are welcome. Hit the like button. Don't be disrespectful. Hit the like button, guys. Come on in the door. Hit the like button.
a private little, upscale dinner um for he and I. He also was like, he wanted me to have a certain type of ring. So we go to the jewelry store. Well, he goes to the jewelry store, and there are other stores in the area. So while he's in the jewelry store, I'm in other areas shopping, looking at other stuff. So he comes out with the ring, puts the ring on my finger, all of that. So we go out, get the food, and then we go get like wine and stuff after that, to go back to his house to talk about where we want to go for the honeymoon, and taking a trip. And so it was great. I will say I was kind of like, what the hell have I done? Like, what made me do this? Not that, I thought it was a bad idea. It's just I'm an overthinker, and like I said, I told y'all I had been proposed to several other times, and I said no. And so in my mind, I'm like, why did I tell this man yeah? But again, The man is successful. He has his own everything, seemingly. Um, and I was just doing something. I also want to clear that up, and I want to make sure that I'm using my words correctly. Now, when I said, you know, I take the situation serious, by no means did I mean like I was like out to see what I could get or mistreating him or nothing like that. That's not what I meant. I am a very kind person, and I would never like intentionally do something to harm someone or anything like that. If you had a conversation with any of my exes, they'll tell you. Like, I'm a very kind person. Like, when I'm in that role, like, I do what needs to be done. However, again, I'm just not the type of woman that's just gonna fall down over a man. Like, I take men at face value. If that's what you said, cool. I let the chips fall where they may. Like, I'm not gonna fall and just be head over heels and just act like I don't see what's going on and I don't take you for what you are. And when you start showing me who you are, like putting things in my mind and say, no, that can't be it. Like, I take men for who they are. And I'm very intuitive. And because of that, it doesn't allow me to become so engulfed in a situation where I'm just like down bad about a man. Like, I'm never going to be down bad about a man because, again, I know who they are at face value. But I also understand the society that we live in. I was also raised around a family of women who were married. Like, the women in my family are married and have been married for a very long time. The only person that told me the truth about marriage was my grandmother, like before she passed away. All the other women in my family did not sit down and have real deal conversations with me about what marriage truly is and what it looks like. Like, my mother has been married for 30 something years. And my mother has never sat down and had a real life. I ain't talking about when and y'all.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm saying this is a professor. Why is it that she's sitting down worried about being married and she ain't asked her mom who been married for 30 years? Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, wow. Hello? Can y'all hear me? Okay.
I might feel away with me saying this, but I don't want nobody pulling out no Bible to talk to me about marriage. Like, I want to know like what it really looks like. And the reason why I say that is because men weaponize religion to oppress women in marriage. And that's what he started to do. As I mentioned, he was a very religious man.
But I don't understand this one fact, y'all. She says she seems like she knows everything. She's intuitive. She understands men. She understands men for real. Why is it that you would get a professor, a college professor, to marry a stranger? Because people kept asking you, why would you get married? You didn't want to be on no coffee date. You didn't want to text people while you dating them or want to be in get married. You didn't want to be a stepmother. You didn't want to change your name. You didn't want to compromise in any way. What would make you think you wanted to get married in any way, shape, or form? You just wanted to be out there. But you're the smart one. She's the smart one. This is what our smart people look like.
So soon after us getting married, the mask started to fall off. And like
your mask started to fall off, you mean?
Stopped cleaning up. Like I went to his house and his house was disgusting. It almost looked like Mr. You know how Mr. House looked from The Color Purple when Celie had first got over there and she had to clean up and get all that shit in order? And I was like, house filthy. Oh.
Because he wasn't living with nobody. He was living by himself. Why would he even pull himself together? You're supposed to be living with him. You're the one he's married to.
You my wife. That's what that's a part of your role. It's a part of your role to cook and clean and all of that. No, sir. So he started with that. He started using the religion as to weaponize the marriage. And I'm like, this man don't really know who he married. Again, because
of course he don't know who he married. He married somebody who didn't really want to be married to him. He married somebody who really didn't want to be married, period. Who was determined she was going to keep her independence away from her husband.
See, I fool a lot of men too. When men are in relationships with me, I am, again, very reserved. I'm very laid back. I'm very kind. And men don't.
How many people think she kind? How many people think she's a kind human being?
Know how to handle that. But I'm also very mean and I don't play that shit. Now, if you get me to a point where I don't play that shit, I don't play that shit. And again, any man that I've dated will tell you, Lakita is mean, but I'm kind. Okay? So if you know, you know. I'm very kind, but I don't play that shit. So he started with that. I mean, house just a mess. House just a mess.
You a mess. You a mess and you're arrogant and you're entitled. I don't understand what was going on with this person. She's not all that spectacular looking. She got a 13-year-old kid. She apparently she can get whoever she wants because she got goofies dealing with her all the time. She got 3, 4, 5 other goofies who apparently proposed to her, but yet she's playing this dude.
He also started putting things on my calendar. And when I say put things on my calendar, like I told y'all, he liked to be on the scene. So he'll be like, oh, I got this event that we got to go to on such and such day at 8:00. That's your event. That's not my event. Again, I'm reserved. I don't got to be on the scene. I only step out when I need to step out. I understand being.
This is a exercise. This is an example of how not to get married. This is an example of a person who don't want to get married. You see all the red flags all around. She started saying them from day one. I don't want to deal with your kids. I don't want to live with you. I don't want to change my name. Just crazy.
A supportive wife and supporting your husband through his dreams and whatever he got going on. But he was like OD, y'all. Like every event, I don't want to be on the scene on no Tuesday night. And I done worked all day. Like I got a child. Like I don't want to be on the scene. I don't want to go to that. I want to come home. I want to come home and read and work out. Like I had my own life and I had my own hobbies. And that was.
She had her own life and her own hobbies. Had nothing to do with her husband. Had nothing to do with a husband. What did she expect? She just was expecting to go over to his house and sleep with him and then go home and not have anything to do with him at all. He would have his house. You would have your house. That's all you thought?
It was a problem for him. He wanted me to be like a full-on wife up under him. but he wasn't taking care of me. And when I say he wasn't taking care of me, he wasn't providing a life where I could like leave my career, even though I wasn't. I'm never gonna do that. But it wasn't presented in that manner. Like, so why you putting all this stuff on my calendar when I gotta work and I gotta do my own thing? Like, so he would get.
See, that's what you forgot to figure out. Is you're supposed to figure these things out. That's why you're supposed to have an engagement in which you jail and mesh your life with this other person so you could see if your life jailed with another person. That's why people are not supposed to get married so quickly. They're supposed to have an engagement. They meet, they date, they get engaged, then they figure out whether their life jails or meshes, then they get married. That's why it should take a while before you get married to someone. Shouldn't take longer than 2 years, but it should be within those 2 years that you know whether your life is the same with them.
Upset about that, like putting things on my calendar. He also started to compare the way that I treat my son to his kids. And I've only seen the kids a couple times. It wasn't a lot because the kids did not live with him. They lived with their mom. And when he had his kids would be at his house. And I would be.
That's right, Lonnie. She did self-admit from day one. She was not an honest broker in this relationship.
At my house with my kid. But when he got his kids, he wanted me to basically stop everything that I was doing and that I had planned and to like be there for his kids. So when he gotta go run to an event, he want me to be in the house with his kids. Them your kids, and your kids are in town to spend time with you. I'm an educator. I love children. I'm never gonna be, mistreat a child. Like, I'm never gonna do that. But I'm also like my own person, and I don't have to like be available to your children because you say so. Your kids are here to spend time with you. They're not here to be put off on somebody else while you running in the streets. And hold on, because I'm gonna tell y'all about that. He was actually ripping and running in the streets.
This is a wild story. But she don't seem to understand she wasn't in it from the beginning either. She wasn't in it to be a wife either. She was just in it. I don't know. I can't even tell why she wasn't in it. It's terrible. I can't even tell. All I know is she really wasn't in the relationship. What did you do? Did you marry him for money? Did you marry him? You thought everything he was portraying and giving you was the truth, so you went along with it. So now you're telling us that you didn't care. But why did you marry this man? Let's see.
Part 5 on how I wanted a divorce after only being married for 75 days. So we go through the officiating process.
Hold on. I got it out of line. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I gotta see.
To mention.
Let me start her from the pink shirt.
I'm an educator. I love children. I'm never gonna be, mistreat a child. Like, I'm never gonna do that. But I'm also like my own person, and I don't have to like be available to your children because you say so. Your kids are here to spend time with you. They're not here to be put off on somebody else while you running in the streets. And hold on, because I'm gonna tell y'all about that. He was actually ripping and running in the streets.
Part 6 of me wanting a divorce after only being married for 75 days. Let me go back just a little bit because I forgot to mention the honeymoon. So we got married and we were supposed to have like a 2-part honeymoon. So the first part of the honeymoon, we went away, we went on a trip. I mean, he went all out, top of the line, presidential suite, the flowers, the champagne, everything. Whatever I wanted, I got it. Jewelry, everything. Tip top of the line. We went out. We stayed there initially, I think it was like 4 days. Um,
How many of y'all think she married him for the money that he was, the things he was doing for her? He was love bombing her, which is a red flag right there. He was love bombing her. And she's such a professor that she didn't know he was love bombing her.
I mean, whatever I wanted, I got. Like, whatever. He did not spare any expense. And I will say that about him. He is very good at planning dates. He's very good at planning trips. Like, he'll go all out. Like, when it comes to stuff like that, he's going to go all out. Um, so, had an amazing time. We get to the last day, and he's like, do you want to just extend it maybe another day or two so you can relax before, you get back into real life. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So we do that, we're relaxing, room service, all of that, all of that, all of that. So it was cool. So I just wanted to say that part.
Mm.
And then where I left off, I was talking about the kids. Um, so he and I'm trying to think, y'all. This I'm like years removed from it. So some parts of it are fuzzy because I literally like checked out at parts of it. But okay. I was at his house one evening, and he went out to get us some food. When he went out to get us some food, I had on my Apple Watch.
So this is where she finds out that it starts to unravel. All of the stuff starts to just go downhill right here.
has an Apple Watch, but I had forgot my watch charger at my house. So I went to put my watch on the charger, and his watch was on the charger. So when I went to put the watch, put my watch on and get his watch off, he got a notification that came up on the screen, and it was from a woman. So I clicked on it.
That's exactly what I said, Rain. Ain't nothing, she ain't doing nothing for him. He doing all the running.
Voila, it opened up. And I'm reading the conversation. And she asking him where he at, where he's been, why she hasn't talked to him. Full blown relationship. She don't know what she did, why he's doing this to her, why he went MIA, why he's missing. And she's like literally like begging him to talk to her. So I'm scrolling and I'm reading the responses. So he responds when he's not around me, or when I'm like somewhere doing something, not paying attention. I ain't looked through no phones. I typically don't do that. But me pulling that watch off of there was like a sign from God, I feel like. So I'm scrolling. He got another woman. Where you at? I haven't talked to you. And I'm scrolling, and it's woman after woman after woman after woman. And it's literally probably like 7 or 8 women in there. Here's where it get interesting. This man got some Christian Grey 50 Shades of Grey type stuff going on with some of these women, because they're telling him, oh, I miss it. I miss when we do this. We need another wild night of this and that. I won't go into detail. I won't tell all the man business, but just know it was on some 50 Shades of Grey type shit. Another thing, this man is getting money from these women. There was one woman in there, and she was like, I can't, don't be mad at me, but I can't cash app you any more money. Like, I've reached my cash app limit for the day. I don't have any more money to send you. Just give me a minute. If you give me a minute, I could send you some more money. So not only do he got this 50 Shades of Grey type stuff going on, he got these women all over sending him money and funding his lifestyle. He's taking these women's hard earned money and giving it to me. Because
She ain't the best candidate to be married, but she didn't deserve all of that. She wasn't any parts a wife. but he over there pimping out women. They married, he living in a separate house from her, and he over there pimping out other women. This is what she's finding out. She lives by herself, and he's over there pimping out women. This is wild. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button in the door. Hit the like button, please.
Because, like I told y'all, no expense spared. Like, no expense spared. Like, my birthday comes, he got it all planned out. I mean, literally, whatever I want, I got. But I find out these women are financing his life. So I'm like, he really don't have no money.
This mug is, he got other women paying for her lifestyle, whatever lifestyle. I don't even know if he paying her bills. I don't even know if he paying for her house and she's paying. We don't even know this convoluted shit. She living in her house, he paying his own bills. So he got chicks sliding in and out the house over there. You wasn't living with him, so what was the big deal?
Which caused me to dig a little bit more into his finances. So yeah, all that went on. So he gets back and I bring it up. So I was like, we'll call her Lisa. So I was like, Lisa looking for you. And so he gives me this look. And so he was like, Lisa is old news. Lisa is somebody that I used to talk to. I said used to as in like yesterday. So he's like, what you talk about? Typical nigga shit, what they do when they try to at first play like they don't know.
He dropping meat for real on 3, 4, 5, 10 girls. Dropping real meat.
What you talking about? So, I'm calm. And I'm like, I ain't up for chasing behind no man or none of that. If that's the lifestyle that you want to live and that's what you want to do, I'm out of here. No, it's old. I told her it wasn't no more. She was before your time. It ain't nothing like that. And I've been trying to tell her that it's over with. So I'm like, she's before my time. And he was like, yeah, remember when I told you I was going out of town for my birthday when we first started talking? She was there. She was with me when I was there. She was who I was with when I was out of town for my birthday. So if y'all remember back, I told y'all he went out of town for his birthday when we first started talking. And he would call and text. And then I told y'all about the hoodie. So he got me a hoodie. And he was like, yeah. He just then started to play like I'm so sorry. So he just really kind of started trying to talk about the lady. Like, she financed me. She funded me. Like, she was there for me. Like, when I first moved up here and I had to start over and this and that and that and that. And I'm like, what you mean you had to start over? Like, what you talking about? And he was like, well, I ain't tell you, I'm going through a situation with the bar. Mind you, I told y'all he a lawyer. And then he has a consulting business on the side. They just, I got a lot going on with that, with the bar and all that. And she was there for me when I.
Here's the thing. When you in trouble with the bar, if you're a lawyer and you in trouble with the bar, you had to have done some egregious stuff in order for them to try to take away your license as a lawyer. He's in trouble with his bar, with the law, with the legal degree that he's got. Of course, these are red flags. She didn't care about what he did or what his job was. She cared about the gifts he was giving her. That's the only thing you apparently cared about, was the gifts he was giving you. This is Atlanta, y'all. This is Atlanta. They talking about Atlanta.
First moved here, but when I met you, I just knew, I just knew you were it. So I was like, it sounds like you should have been trying to propose to this lady. Because this lady doing things that I ain't going to never do for you. So I don't understand why you came to me. Come to find out, he was stalking my Instagram. So he had been looking at my Instagram for a long time. And back then, I was posting a lot of like teaching content. Like, in the college classroom, just doing like a lot of day in the lives of a young college professor, and just posting videos about that. That was mainly what my content was. So apparently I came up on his feed and he was intrigued, and so he started following me and like keeping tabs like on me. So he had been watching me for quite some time before he made his move.
So he was stalking her. He was stalking her. So he had to get the perfect person for him to marry. The perfect person he married. Which means he was doing his own, he was doing some goofy stuff too. So two goofy people find each other and start doing goofy shit.
To slide in my DMs.
Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button.
Part 7. I wanted a divorce after only being married for 75 days. And before I get into part 7, let me say this. Y'all coming on this page talking about, sis, you should have took it more serious and marriage is sacred and blah, blah, blah. Let me say this. Tell that shit to them niggas who out here that don't take their marriage seriously. Because me, even though I may not have wanted to at that time or just did something going against like my intuition, I was still solid in it. So no one understand that. One thing about me, when I do something, when I make a decision to do something, I'm a grown woman about mine. So by no means is this a pity party or any of that. It's again me telling my story so other women will know that they aren't alone. Men fake all the time. I don't care if you've known a man for.
You're the one that's faking. We found out you're the one that was faking. You didn't want to get married. You didn't want to take care of kids. You didn't want to live with them. You didn't want to change his name. How is that upfront and honest with this person that you married? You're the faker.
5, 10, 20 years. You don't know a man until you're married to him. You don't know a man until you live with him. So all y'all coming on this page trying to put this shit in my lap, I honored my vows. He didn't. And I can assure you, we are not divorced because of me. So you might want to check that before you come on this page.
I don't see a ring on her finger. I don't see another ring on her finger. She said this happened a couple of years ago. I don't see no ring on your finger, like you remarried, like somebody else wanted to marry you. So clearly you're the problem that nobody wants to marry you.
All right, part 7. So, I have the stuff at his house. So I pack all my stuff. I mean, my car is full. So I pack all my stuff and he's trying to stop me from leaving. No, don't leave. We could work it out. We could talk it out. It ain't nothing to talk about. You got a whole, this man don't have just one woman, y'all. This man got a phone full of women that he's sleeping with and that he's getting money from and that he's going to their house. He's going on dates. He's doing all of this. Remember now, we don't live together. So I'm not always.
But you had a shitload of stuff over there too. Why wouldn't you keep track of your husband? Why didn't you keep a track of your husband? I don't understand. You still married to the man. You didn't keep no track of this man. Was you sleeping with this man? Who sleeps with somebody and goes back and sleep in their own house, in their own bed? This was dysfunction from the beginning. He's dysfunctional and he has red flags, but you definitely got red flags.
Over there, or he not at my house. Like, I have a career. Like, I have hobbies. I'm busy. And
she has hobbies. She's busy, but she's too busy to live with her husband. You're not living with your husband. You would integrate your life with your husband. But since you didn't want to live with him and you told him so, he was over there doing what he got to do.
He does too. So we're not up under each other 24/7. And,
yeah, Ty, he was over there doing his thing. I got the best of both worlds. I got a nice looking wife who make money, so I ain't got to worry about paying her bills. And I can be over here smashing the holes over in my house, in my apartment.
Haven't gotten there. So whenever he out of my sight and claim to be working, he over here laid up with women. So I get my stuff. We go at it about it. We fall out about it. So I get my stuff and I go back to my house. I'm like, he ain't never got to worry about me coming to his house again. He kind of, let me say this. He had a very sinister look on his face. The man is a narcissist, okay? And I don't know if you've ever dealt with one, and I know people use this word a lot, but he is a textbook narcissist.
No, you're the textbook narcissist. You're the one. It's all you. It's all you. People are so self-unaware.
He had this look in his eyes and this look on his face like he was like, I got her, if that makes sense. Like, I got her. Like, I got you. I got you. So I saw that look and I was like, mm-mm, mm-mm. So, after leaving his house, we go probably a couple of days without talking. And so he decides to break the silence, and he's apologizing, and he's basically saying like a lot of that he had to get out of his system. And a lot of those women were before.
Don't get me wrong, he did wrong too. He was still sleeping with other women, married to her. But my whole point is this: why did you two marry each other? Was it just to be married? Because you didn't live together, you didn't do anything together. The only thing y'all did apparently was hunching. Y'all didn't share no bills, you didn't share no kids, you didn't share nothing. So why did y'all get married?
For us. And again, he knew when he met me, like I was the one, but he was just kind of like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. But us having.
He was 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and you're the one who said that you didn't want to be married, you didn't want to do anything, you didn't want to integrate your house. He's the one. It's both of your faults.
The little tiff about the situation really brought things into perspective for him. And, he just really wanted to try to see if we can make things work. So his kids were supposed to be coming. And so he wanted to plan a trip with all the kids and me and him to go see some family of his. And let me just say this. So, I'm listening. And again, even though I honestly didn't really want to get married, again, I still honored the process. I still honored what it was.
So how long were you going to honor the process? That's the thing. How long? If he would have been perfect and he did all the things he was supposed to do, you still wouldn't have wanted to be married to him. You still said you didn't want to be married to him. You still said you didn't want to live with him. You still said you didn't want to take his name. Even if he did all of the perfect things, you still didn't want the man. So how are you honoring the process? Yeah, she seems like she wanted to be a victim.
Was because even in that moment, I told him, I'm like, okay, just give me a minute to like think about everything that you're saying. I didn't file the divorce immediately at that point. So he thought that there was still hope. And I kind of like led him to believe that, kind of, sort of, I guess, because I didn't immediately shut it down at that point. I was just basically like, just give me some time to think. I'm going to be at my house. You could be at your house. But yeah, he wanted all of us to go on the trip. After thinking about all of us going on the trip, I was like, okay, cool. So he tells me, that he's going to get his kids and then he's going to come back. And he plans the trip, pays for the tickets, and he's like, yeah, I'm excited. You're going to meet, my family. And I'm like, all right, cool. At this.
See, I think this was I think the whole story was, it makes no sense. Both of them were giving each other the bare minimum. You right, Rain. The bare minimum in life. She didn't want to give him nothing. She just wanted the piece of paper. Why did you want the piece of paper of getting married? Were you giving him a gift? I don't understand. And that's why I say it could be a script or something like that, because it doesn't seem to be real. Nobody goes into a marriage without wanting to give a person, at least live with the person, take their name, deal with their family. She didn't want to have nothing to do. All the things that a single person, she just wanted to be single in a marriage. You wanted to act single in a marriage. That don't make no sense. And what was he doing? He was out the back door sleeping with everybody. And he was coming over. He was love bombing her, but he was sleeping with everybody else too. Plus, he was sleeping with her. What the hell was going on?
It's time. I was in the process of starting a new job. And so they had called me and officially given me a start date. So the start date was that Monday after the weekend that we were supposed to be going out of town together. When they called me to tell me about the job, he had already booked the tickets, had all the travel arrangements set up. Something just in me was like, nope, I ain't going. So I didn't say it to him like that. I was just like, well, I got stuff to do for the job. So I got to be in town. And the trip ain't going to work for me because I can't change my start date. Like these people told me this is the day that I have to start and I have all of my stuff done before my start date. So I can't go. He was pissed. He was pissed. So him and his
Why wouldn't he be pissed? Why wouldn't he be pissed?
kids, they go on the trip. He posting stuff and subliminals the whole time because we followed each other on social media. So he posting subliminal messages and all this the whole time. And, I'm just looking, we're not talking on this while he's on this trip because he is pissed off at me. And I kind of decided like in that moment, like, this ain't going to be it.
It shouldn't have been it from day one. It should have been the end with him. He shouldn't have been dealing with you at all. And you shouldn't have been dealing with him. He wasn't ready to get married and neither were you. He wanted to be single because you made it known that you didn't want to integrate your life with him. So he said, fuck it, I'm just going to do me and let her deal with it. And then you got what you asked for. You got an uninvolved husband, but you got the ring.
But he calls me when he gets back from the trip. Okay, so part 8 on me wanting a divorce after being married for only 75 days. Now, y'all bear with me because this was years ago, and as I tell the story, things are starting to come to my memory. So I'm going to go back just a little bit. So remember, I told y'all he was a lawyer, and there was some things going on with that. So he was being investigated by the Bar Association for several complaints of misconduct. And so,
yeah, this is wild, Jay. This is wild. It's almost unbelievable. But it's almost unbelievable. This part.
at that time, he was not able to practice law. This is what I found out. I was in my career and my career was thriving. So initially I was, working at a school, a well-known school. And then I was also teaching my college courses a couple of evenings out of the week. So because of his status with the bar, he started.
See, I took that to mean that he was a degenerate individual anyway. You had what is it called? You had ethical issues with your law degree. You couldn't practice law. You were sleeping around. You had women giving you money. You love bombing her. You married her, not living with her. It was mental things going on with both of them. Mental things going on with both of them. Y'all are perfect.
Started asking questions about becoming a college professor. So what's the requirements? What's the process like? What does the pay look like? If one was interested in applying to work at a university, what would that look like? So he started to share an interest in teaching classes. And so he asked me
if there were some positions at the college, one of the colleges that I was teaching at. And so, I was like, I don't know, you got to look into it. But I started to notice him kind of like being a little bit jealous of me having a thriving career. And so, fast forward, I told y'all that I got the new job. And because of the new job, I basically told him, I can't go out of town with you because I have to, finish the paperwork and do everything that they're requiring me to do to start work on Monday. So when I initially got the offer letter for the job, he was like, wow, I didn't know you was applying to them. Like, do you know um, how good of an organization this is that you work for?
Mm.
I was like, yeah. He was like, I don't think you understand how big this is. You are going to have connections to all types of people in the city. I mean, big connections, big connections. Like these people are going to be, you're going to be in rooms with major people. And this just looks so good, for my image. And so I'm looking at him crazy. And again, I told y'all, he likes to be on the scene. If there's an event in the city,
She had to have liked something about him, because he couldn't be. She said he wasn't her type of guy, but he had to have looked decently for you to even look at him. He had to have had something decent about him for you to look at him. But she's pretending like, oh, I don't care about him. I don't know what's going on with this guy. I jump ahead because she born.
and he just feels like I haven't been basically being supportive of him. So trying to basically flip the script, talking about the situations again with the women. Oh, and let me clear that up. I said that there were 7 or 8 women in the phone. Now, I don't have evidence that he was actually doing that with 7 or 8 women. He was doing that with at least 2. And then he had other women that he was getting money from. I don't know how far they took that, but I cannot confirm that he was, in fact, taking it there with at least 7 or 8 women. He just had a mix. Like he had, a couple of women where he was going there with, like the ones that thought that they were in a relationship.
So what the hell would that be called? Would he be called a gigolo? Would he be called a simp? What was he doing? He was collecting money from the women. He was in trouble with his law degree. He didn't live with her, so he could bring women over to the house. He can call, text, and do whatever he wanted to do with these other women. What the hell was he doing?
And then he had the ones specifically, like the conversation was about money. And then it seems like he was like vetting these other women. And again, if you think about it, this was going on, the money situation with the women, because of his status with the bar. So because of that, he was unable to get certain jobs. Now, he also had like a legal consulting business, but apparently it was some issues with that. Like the services that he was providing, he wasn't providing those services good enough based on, his clients. And so he was running into issues with that. So apparently money was an issue. So he had to, pay his bills. And then he also had to keep me and keep the lifestyle that he portrayed and what he introduced me to. Because remember, I told y'all he spared no expense. So in order to maintain that, he had to have those women giving him money.
So he was a gigolo out there getting money, married to her, but what did he need her for? That's why I say she didn't need him, he didn't need her. So if you didn't need me and I didn't need you, why did we get together?
So, we had the conversation over the food, and he was like, well, I'm going to take the kids back. How about you ride with me? And, we could continue to talk, taking the kids back. So, I take my son home, and I was like, all right, cool. I'll ride with them. So we're riding down and we're talking. The kids are asleep in the car. So we're talking, so we get to the destination and the baby mama get out of the car. Mind you, now, this is the first time I met her.
So he was like, can you get out the car and meet my baby mama? Because I wasn't gonna get out the car. I'll say hey, but I don't want this man no more. So, whatever. I'll keep it cool. I'll keep it cordial. So I get out the car. He goes, you know, I just wanted to introduce you to my wife. And the way that she looked at me, y'all. Part 9 on me wanting a divorce after being married.
So he introduces her to the ex-wife. Why did he do that? Who knows? Ex-wife, a bunch of red flags. A bunch of red flags. I wouldn't have took her nowhere. The whole point was, why did they get married? These are two individuals, narcissistic, who thought, okay, she's going to make me look good. I'm going to make him look good. We don't have to fall in love. We just look good on paper. Which was a terrible idea, which is an extremely terrible idea.
And I'm going to take you over here to the spa. Okay, cool. We go to the spa. We have a nice time. We drive back, where we at. And he's like, I really want, my marriage to work, and I really want us to work this out. Maybe we could go to therapy or something. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So, I think the next day, or it was I can't remember, y'all. It was a couple days later or something, but he came to my house. I think my son was at school or something, but he came to my house. And then he was just like, we were talking, and then he was just like, I gotta go run some errands and stuff. Like, it was kind of like abrupt, but he was like, I gotta go to some meetings and I gotta go handle some things. So I was like, okay, cool. So he leaves. I'm working. So he calls my phone and he's like, I met with somebody who was over some school about some social event. Y'all, I can't remember it because I was blocking it out. He always got some type of social event to try to go to every single day. I don't give a fuck. So he was like, yeah, and I told him that we will be there on such and such day. And I paused and I was like, we? And I was like, you ain't asked me nothing about going to no meeting. And so no social meeting or whatever it is. And he was like, but you're my wife and I need your support to be there. And I was like, oh, you need my face to be there. And so he was like, yeah, but you're also my wife. How I'm going to be at an event with a ring on my finger and my wife is not there to support me. And so I was like, it really he rubbed me the wrong way, really. Like, he was just getting beside himself. So I was like, first of all, don't be putting nothing on my calendar because you just be running all around town to all these meetings and you ain't making no money. And so he was like,
what?
I can't believe you would say something like that to me. And I was like, and furthermore, I have my own meetings.
You see how this is hostile? They hostile to each other. How are y'all hostile to each other and y'all just got married? It's 2 months. Y'all got all this drama, all this headache, and you only been married 2 months. This is how you know that the person that you married is the wrong person. See, I don't care whether you get married and divorced within a year, 6 months, or whatever. Ain't no point in staying married if you know from the beginning that you don't want to be married, don't want to change the name, don't want to do anything related to him, don't want to live with him. All of these things she knew right after she married this man. So my question is, what was the point? You were getting everything that you wanted. You didn't want a man that was involved with you. You didn't want none of that. What's the problem?
To go to that I actually get paid for. So I just started talking real reckless out of my mouth. And it just like, I guess it pissed him off. And so he was like, well, we don't gotta talk. We ain't gotta talk no more today or something like that. And so like, I was like, well, whatever. And I hung up the phone. And so after like 5 minutes, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I am so done with this shit. So I sent him a message and I said, since you're a lawyer and we can both agree that you ain't what I want and I'm not going to be the kind of wife you want, since you're a lawyer, we could go ahead and file for that divorce, and it shouldn't cost anything because you're a lawyer. You know how to file the paperwork. I'm not going to contest it. You're not going to contest it. It should be a clean cut divorce.
My whole question, why did you even do any of this? Why didn't y'all hurry up and get a divorce? Why didn't you hurry up and get a divorce? You knew you didn't love him. You didn't marry him for love. He didn't marry you for love. He just thought y'all could work together. I don't know why y'all got married. It's two narcissists coming together. And happens in a lot of marriages. This happens with a lot of people. They get married with they love the idea of being married, but they really don't want to be married to each other. Or they don't want to do none of the work. Who wants to do any work? Nobody wants to do any work these days. Everybody want to get married and think everything is supposed to fall into place. This is what she did. Oh, I think you're good on paper. Come to find out, he didn't have a job. He didn't have no income. He had women supplementing his income. Come to find out on her part, she really didn't care about him, didn't want to live with him, didn't want to change her name, didn't want to take care of your kids. All these red flags. They had 10, 20, 30. All of them had 10, 20, 30 red flags. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Thank you, RS.
So he was like, okay, cool. Because I guess he had found, honestly, I think what it was, he had found a new supply. If y'all know a narcissist, y'all know they keep a new somebody in rotation. So I think what had happened was he had found somebody new. So he thought shit was sweet and he could just, beat his chest about it. And he really didn't take me serious, is what I think.
But why did he marry her? Why did you marry her? See, we need the story from the husband's point of view. Because what was the point in marrying this woman? If you didn't really want this woman, you didn't really want to be married to her, you wanted to cover up, or maybe you just wanted her money. And once you found out she wasn't going to give you no money, you just abandoned her. Why did you marry this woman if that were the case?
So, but he filled it out. And he sent me a copy. So he was like, we got to go notarize this. So I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, well, what day can you be available? So I gave him my availability and we met, at the bank so we could get it notarized. So I'm walking in the bank. I'm looking good. I'm smelling good. He's already there when I walk in. I'm looking good. I'm smelling good. So as soon as I walk in the bank, like the security was like, wow, you're gorgeous. And so I go to sign in. And as I'm coming from signing in, it's another guy. And he was like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. I would really like to get your number. I would really like to take you out. Whole time he's just sitting there fuming, just sitting there mad, sitting there fuming. But he's still like beating his chest like we're gonna go through with it. So I'm ready. So we go back to get the notary to sign. We don't even speak. We don't say anything to each other. I sign, he signed, they give us a copy, and that's that. So he sends me an email, and he has to send me an email because he's blocked. I blocked him. So in the email, he was basically like, we're gonna, something like, I can't believe we're gonna go through it with it, but whatever. I'm gonna file it, and you should get your notification of receipt of filing. So he filed.
She didn't care about him and he didn't care about her. This was the red flag. The red flags, don't ever get involved with people like this. Don't ever get involved with people who say yes to marriage just like that. They didn't get to know each other. She didn't want him to know her kid. She didn't want to know his kid. Terrible.
I get the receipt of filing. So you have to wait. You have a 30-day waiting period before, you have to go and appear. But because it's uncontested, just wait in the 30 days. We don't have any assets or anything. It should be a smooth process. He fills out the divorce paperwork wrong on purpose. He also didn't serve me properly on the divorce papers. So after 30 days, I didn't receive nothing. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? So I called the court and they're like, they just told me like, basically there was a delay with processing and just give it some time. So I'm like, okay, another month go by. I don't get served. I don't get anything. It's just sitting there. Now, mind you, I told him to file it because he's a lawyer.
So he knows what to do. If we agree, there's no need to pay another lawyer for the divorce. If he could just do it, I could just sign it. I don't care if it says he's the petitioner and I'm the respondent. I don't care about none of that. Let's just sign this paperwork. So I called down to the court and the lady was like, yeah, he didn't have you served properly. He filled this out incomplete. We can't we can't process this. So on a technicality, y'all are still married. I said, oh hell no. Okay, so part 10. Now let me add a little bit of tidbit before I go back to the divorce process. So he took me to his childhood house. His parents had passed on. And so they had left like the house and the property to him. And so it was like, um, it was quite a bit of land. And so he was like, yeah, as my wife, you could kind of tell me what you think I should do with the property. And he was like, it can be like a
Ain't that an ugly hat and glasses?
kind of like a vacation house for us. So like when we come, we want to get out the city, we can come here and we can just relax. But my baby mama been asking me, if she could move in the house with the kids because the house is paid off, so there's no mortgage on the house, but it's in the country. So I wasn't interested in moving to the country, but it was a nice idea to go to the house, when you wanted, to have a vacation. So he brings this house up again, as a matter of fact, when we're leaving from with the baby mama, and I forgot this part. And he's like, yeah, my baby mama was asking me about moving in that house. And he was like, basically, as my wife, how do you feel about
we got a little bit more, just a little bit
me just letting my baby mama stay in the house with the kids? And I was like, whatever you feel like you need to do. There was also an instance when I went home. Now, I just let him know, I'm going home to visit some of my family. I did not want him to go home with me. This man practically begged me to go home with me. Now, remember, didn't nobody know I was married. Only like two people, my sister and my cousin, knew that I was actually married. So it wasn't, a lot of people didn't know. People thought I was engaged. So I'm like, damn, if he go home with me, he talk too much. So he gonna tell them that I'm married. So I'm gonna have to go ahead. They're gonna be looking at me and I gotta explain that. So I went ahead and shot my favorite uncle because that's who I was going to see. So I shot my favorite uncle a text and I was like, I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you now, that I'm married. And he was like, what? Man, stop playing. You're not married, because it's me. So I was like, I got married. And he was like, really? And he was like, I'm so happy for you. Like, I didn't expect that, but I'm so happy for you, let us know when we gonna meet. And I was like, I'm gonna come down there and he's gonna come. And he was like, well, I'm gonna tell your auntie. And I'm like, okay. So I had to tell them, and only because I knew when we got down there that he just talked so much and he was just gonna tell them that we was married. And I didn't want it to come from him. So I just went ahead and kind of laid the foundation. But so there's that when we went to visit his family, I met his sister, and his sister kept saying to him, like, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. But y'all, he was just telling everybody. And I did not want nobody to know. Like, I did not want anybody to know. Like,
why didn't you want anybody to know that you were married? Why didn't you want anybody to know? I don't understand why that was such a big deal not to tell somebody that you were married. I don't get it. Let's continue. Move along.
That says he filed it wrong, and that's why we are here. He's a lawyer, and he was supposed to file it, and he didn't do it right. This is why we're here. So I asked her about the annulment process because y'all, all this happened within like a 2.5 month time span. All of this. So I asked her, like the annulment process. And so she explained it to me. And she was like, just because the marriage is short, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can get an annulment. Now, right, you can. Like,
it's some steps that we're going to have to take.
Right.
You got to prove some stuff, and it's going to make the process a little bit more complicated, and it's going to be a little bit more expensive. And she was like, now what you could do is, because y'all have already both agreed to file,
Mm-hmm.
it's non-contested. So because it's non-contested, it's nothing for me to file it. Now, again, you're still going to have to wait those 30 days. You got that 30-day waiting period. But again, because y'all have already basically started the process and he agrees, as long as he doesn't contest it, you should be good to go. So she starts the process for me.
Mm-hmm.
And she calls me and tells me that I have to come in the office or whatever to sign the paperwork. So she had already sent the paperwork over to him for him to sign. And she just let me know, like, he was just asking a bunch of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed the paperwork, waited the 30 days, and the divorce was finalized.
This lady, this is her tale. I don't know whether she had a skit or she didn't have a skit. I don't know what she had. I don't understand the whole process. But if that is the way they conduct in marriages these days, that's crazy. If that's the way they conduct in marriages these days. How do you marry somebody and not even want to be fully engaged with marriage? I don't understand. Why did she marry him? She didn't want anything from him. She didn't want to be married to him. She didn't want his name. She didn't want to take care of kids. She didn't want none of that. So why did you get married? I think it was two people who got involved with the idea of being married, because he had no intention of being faithful. He wasn't faithful, wasn't trying to be faithful, wasn't trying to do none of that. She had no intention of living with him, dealing with him, doing any of those things. That's crazy. Yet and still, these two married each other. Thank you for the super sticker, J. $1.49 super sticker. $1.49 super sticker, J. $1.49 super sticker, J. $1.49 super sticker, J. Mr. Walker, $1.49 super sticker. Thank you too. Thank you all. Thank you all for that. So I don't understand why she felt the need to tell us about her being married if she wasn't going to stay married.
Part 11, life after the divorce. So everything was good. He went his way. I went my way. Life continued to go on. And let me just say this. I have a dog, and my dog hated him. Y'all say hey to my dog. Say hey to Rocky. Yeah. But my dog hated him. So, life went on. So about 2 months ago, I get a phone call in the middle of the day from a random phone number. My son is in school, so I'm thinking, maybe somebody calling from the school. It's the middle of the day, or it's a job or something that I've applied to. So I answer the phone. I hear his voice, and he's like, "Hi, can I speak to Lakita?" And I'm like, "Who is this?" And he was like, "You don't know my voice?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And I hung the phone up. But in my mind, I knew his voice, but I'm like, what does he want after all this time? Because after the papers were signed and it was finalized, we did not communicate. It was literally over. And so I was like, let me get my iPad and record this conversation, because I know he's gonna call back. And this man is manipulative, he's narcissistic. I don't know what he finna say out of his mouth. So let me have this on just in case. So he calls back and I answer again. And so he's like, he's telling me like, this is so and so. So I'm like, yeah. And he was like, hey. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, what you calling me for? And he was like, I ain't calling on no, nothing like that. I was just calling to let you know that I've been thinking about, us, and I've been thinking about the marriage, and I just wish that it would have turned out better. Like, I just wanted to let you know that, you were a great wife, and I just didn't appreciate, what we had at the time. And I wish this would have turned out better. So remember now, I told y'all, I think that he had got a new supply and he was beating his chest. So whatever situation he was in that had kept him quiet, kept him away, and kept him at bay, I guess it didn't work out the way that he thought it would. So he was just basically telling me how good of a woman I am, and it wasn't my fault, and it was his fault that it ended the way that it ended, and he just wish it would have been better. So then, he starts asking, about my son, and I'm not mad, I'm not upset, I'm not angry. I'm far removed from the situation, y'all. I was able to get out of it. So outside of my money, like I wanted him to give me my money back. But whatever. I'll take that. I was able to get out. So I don't have
You what? Wait a minute. What money? What money is she talking about? What money? The money that she filed to get a divorce? I mean, what money is she talking about? Did he take her for some money? Ooh.
have like anger.
He took her for some money. She didn't tell us that.
I will not converse with him. No, but I'm not like bad angry. And so he's telling me, his kids are good. And I'm like, where's this going? And I'm listening because I know it's headed somewhere. And I'm just waiting on it to get where it needs to be, where he's trying to get it, because he's long-winded. I'm like, where you going with this? So he goes, in spite of it all, I still view you in a high regard. And, at the end of the day, you were this and you were that. And so he goes, I would really like, if me and you could go out, if we could meet and we could, talk over dinner or something.
Right.
So I go, I don't think my man would appreciate that. He was like, oh, you're in a relationship, but you know what? I wouldn't expect nothing less because you're an amazing woman. So tell him he's a lucky guy. And I said, yeah, I'm engaged. And he already knows that. And he was like, oh, he was like, he was kind of like taken aback and kind of speechless, but he was still trying to like, still like hold his chin up. So he was just like, oh, congratulations. I think that that's amazing. And, whatever you need, if you ever need something, please don't hesitate to call me. I'm just a phone call away. You'll always have a friend in me, and just this, and just all of that. And y'all, I just hung up the phone and blocked the number. And so I haven't heard from him since. But
she hadn't heard from him since. And he called her up out of the blue. Thank God it wasn't messy. But see, here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that she omitted. She omitted a lot of stuff. She omitted that he took her for money. He admitted that he was getting the cheeks and he was dealing with every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the street. That's why he had financial troubles. So who do you think was paying for everything? She was probably giving him money. Maybe he stole money from her. She wasn't being honest about it. Wait a minute. What do you mean, I got a Discord? I don't even know what Discord means. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, he was hitting the skins and he was doing everything he didn't need to do. She had a terrible time with him. She just didn't tell us all of the stuff that he was doing. She didn't tell us all the stuff that she was doing because nobody comes out and admits that kind of stuff. The whole point was y'all were disasters, you and him. Hit the like button, y'all. Make sure we get all the likes for everybody who came in the door. We need all the likes. We need all the likes. But my whole point is this. This is a tale where, off the bat, listen to the red flags, y'all. Listen to the red flags. This don't make no sense. Red flags should never come up this quick in a relationship. They should never come up this quick. The whole point was he just did not believe that he could do whatever he was doing behind her back. He didn't believe she was an itch. He didn't believe that. So I'm saying, look, you got to look for all these red flags. She didn't want to live with him. She didn't want to take his name. She didn't want to deal with his kids. She didn't want to deal with him. She didn't want to do nothing with him. How did y'all want to conduct a relationship? How were you supposed to conduct a relationship? All the things that go along with red flags was available in this relationship. Control, manipulation, gaslighting, lack of respect. He was sleeping with all these other women. It wasn't we don't know whether they had physical abuse. We don't know whether there was emotional abuse. We knew it was something, though. We don't know what it was, but we knew it was something. Dishonesty, trust issues. Both of them had dishonesty and trust issues. No effort whatsoever on her part. One-sided. You do all the work emotionally and physically. Nobody wants to do nothing in this relationship. And you didn't see that from the beginning. I believe maybe he had some kind of addiction. He was cheating, hiding stuff. We don't know whether there was physical abuse. We don't know none of that. She was passive aggressive. She knew she didn't want to be in a relationship. She didn't tell him. She wasn't telling him any of the information that he needed. Avoiding discussion, avoiding communication, all of the things that go along with red flags. All of this was red flags. Yeah, he had a bad cheek addiction. I don't understand why she didn't see it. She's so smart. She's a professor. Just because you're smart don't mean you don't know how to deal with people and the narcissistic behavior. You didn't know how to tell that your husband was giving his wood to everybody. And he didn't know that you didn't give a damn about him one way or the other. That's the bad part. If only they knew each other or knew about each other before or knew about red flags before they got involved with each other. See, you can have two smart people and have dumb things go on in a relationship. Two smart people married each other and they still had bad relations. This comes from not realizing that you're a red flag. You're the red flag. You're the red flag. And we're going to hear some more red flags. We're going to hear some more red flags. But stay tuned for our next show. Our next show is in an hour where we're going to look at some crime. We're going to look at some shoplifters, some law-breaking citizens. Come back in an hour.